Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Paint Society. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to take your home compressor and properly set it up with the correct piping so that you can get fresh, cool air for all your paint jobs at home. And these are the products that we're going to be using today. I went ahead and I picked up the Fast Pipe by Rapid Air, and it makes it super simple because everything's already here. You don't have to go to Home Depot or Lowe's and piece it together. And it comes with about 27 feet of pipe to cool off that air. And you're probably wondering, how come I just can't take my compressor, hook it up to my air hose, and put my paint gun on the other end and start spraying? Well, you can, but you're going to run into some issues. You see, as your compressor is running, it's creating a lot of humidity, a lot of air in the airline, and we need a way of cooling that air down because that air is hot and it needs to travel through some piping to get cool, fresh air. And that cool, fresh air is going to give you a much cleaner paint job free of any contamination. And we're going to be using the Eastwood Elite Scroll Compressor, and we're going to be plumbing it on this wall right here. Some of the things that the kit already came with is the piping. Now it shows you right here that the small sections need to be 5 inches and the bigger sections at 6.5. So what I'll do first is I'll start the piping cutting. Then it also came with this flex hose which will come off the compressor, but it's a little bit too small for me. We'll end up using this somewhere else, and I end up picking up a Flexzilla flex hose that is 1 foot longer, so we won't have any stress on the actual hose itself. Comes with a distribution block, which I don't think we're going to be using. We have another idea for it, which we'll show you later on. I ended up picking up a splitter because we're going to be using 2 types of air hoses coming off of our airline, and we'll show you why we're going to do that later. Of course, the clamps that you'll need, and these are the valves, the shut-off on valves, so you can drain any moisture that's coming off of the pipe. And how it will work is there's 3 drop-offs at the bottom, and well, water will work like gravity and travel to the bottom where you can clearly drain them out. I also went ahead and I bought an Eastwood CFS. This is a complete filtration system, and this is just like the DeVilbiss QC3. Same setup basically, and this will help as a last resort to completely take out any of the water or the oils inside of the airline, which is very important because you don't want that in your paint job. And I also went to Lowe's, and since this is the first time cutting any pipe, I went and picked up a screw feed copper cutter, which will cut copper, brass, aluminum. And well, this is going to work just fine for what we're doing here. So I think the first thing what I need to do is cut these into equal lengths. And to do that, we'll grab our ruler and we'll grab our marker. And we'll make a mark on all of our pipes so we know exactly where to cut it. We'll then take our tool cutter, and you can use a push button right here to move it up or down easily. Get it set up on our line. And as it starts to cut, we'll turn the knob just a little bit more to make that cut. And we have a nice clean cut, and we're good to go. Now, it also comes with a deburring tool. So just to clean out any areas that might have some shredded metal on it, make it nice and clean. Again, we don't want this in any of our paint jobs. Although we do have the filtration system, we want to be as cautious as possible. And guys, what I'm thinking too is, since we've already cut this, we'll just keep this. It recommends, I think, 5.5, but we're sitting here right around 10 inches, and that would be just fine. Let's go ahead and cut the rest of them. Well, that went really well. Now they make 2 types of these T connectors, and one has one where the pipe fits into, and then your other fittings that will screw in. So I'm gonna build as much as I can here on the bench, and then we're gonna build the whole complete set over on the floor where this is actually gonna get installed on the wall. And then I'm thinking we're just gonna go ahead and mount it up on the wall. So, and you're roughly gonna get about 2 inches of pipe into the connector. So we'll slide her in, and it went all the way to the end. We'll give this a hand tight. And this is the first time I've used anything like this, so I'm curious to see how well it actually works. And it comes with these wrenches to go ahead and snug it up. I'm not gonna over tighten it, but I'm gonna get it tight enough where I feel comfortable, and that will be good. So I'll go ahead and transfer this one over to our floor. And basically what we'll do now is I'll go ahead and I'll build the rest of the cooling system right here on the ground. Now that kit went together really easy. Now, one thing I did not do is I didn't completely tighten up each connection yet because, you know, the pipes were moving around and I want to get it flat on the wall, and then I'll do my final tightening once everything's nice and secure and straight. So basically what I'm looking at, give or take, is the system to be snug against this wall over here. And then at the end, I'll have my filtration system and my hose reel accessible. So basically what I've got to do first is get a couple clamps on the unit, get it start to secure on the wall, and then we'll go from there, tightening everything up. I got good space over here. So I think we're pretty good to go. And there it is, all nice and secure. Now I can go ahead and tighten using this wrench. Now the way that you do it is you slide it from the inside and then it fits right onto the little grooves, and then you can tighten it very easily, just like that. And everything's already in its position, so we know that it won't move and it'll be much easier to secure. I don't want to over tighten it, but I want to get it pretty snug. And then what I'll do is I'll listen for any potential air leaks once it's all hooked up to the compressor. So I'll go around to all those. And we have all of our shutoff valves installed. And now we're gonna install our jumper hose from the compressor to the first part of the airline. Now, this is gonna take any of the vibration that comes from the compressor itself and stabilize it so that the whole system is not shaking. And once again, this does not come with the actual Rapid Air. I went and bought this myself when I went ahead and bought the system, the Rapid Air system, because I wanted a little bit more room to get it to the air hose because I had something in the way. Now these are 1/2-inch fittings and the whole pipe is 3/4. So we're gonna have a good amount of airflow coming through these air lines into our spray gun. So nothing will be starving. The air will be there. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the hose reel that we're going to install here in just a little bit, and why you should not be using a hose reel for any of your painting. Next up, we connected already with our hose, our complete filtration system. You don't need to go crazy. This is all you'll need if you're a hobbyist. You're not going to be pushing that much air that often. And we drilled our holes now. We're a little bit tight here on space, but we're going to put her right here. And we're all set up here at the wall. Now I installed the regulator that comes with the actual unit, and this is sending full pressure all the way up to this point. And we regulate the air before it hits the air hose and before it hits the paint gun. That way we're not sending too much air, and the regulator on the actual paint gun is not gonna have to cut that air pressure right down. So we'll play around with it, but I'm probably gonna be sending in and around 50 pounds of air, and we'll see if that's enough to travel. But right now we're gonna install the hose reel. And getting in the last bolt on this reel. And we are all set. That thing is heavy. 3 tap cons right into the concrete. It's not gonna go anywhere. Let's reel it up. Now, one of the main reasons why you don't want to use your hose reel to paint is because you see all those continuous turns. Well, that's just going to take some pressure out of your airline. So when it hits the gun, you're not going to have that full pressure that you really want, you know. And after it's all set up, we're ready to give it its first test. We'll go ahead and we'll release the handle here, which will release the pressure into the airline. And at this point, we have full pressure. And we'll see that by just doing a release here. And one thing I did do is I changed the mounting position of the wall brackets a little bit lower for the sides that are closest to the vibration hose. At this point, you can see that we are pretty much in business. And what I ended up doing here is I have a dedicated line for painting only, and then I have a line only for the hose reel. And the reason for the different fitting and the dedicated hose line is we want a little bit more free-flowing air to come out of the painting line. Now this is an HVLP fitting, a little bit bigger on the coupler size, and that will help just move the air for the paint so there's no downtime waiting for any air or any inconsistencies. Now, as far as the reel is concerned, well, we never want to paint off of the reel, and well, these are just regular fittings you will get from the regular hardware store. Now, let's see if it all works. We have our air hose here, and at the end, well, we're gonna connect just an air blower and see if we have any air coming out the other end. So a quick connect. And you can see that we are pretty good. Now, we'll never be using our paint gun on the hose reel, but for demonstration purposes, we'll connect another tool. And we have full air. So we'll mainly be using this for sanding or grinding or anything like that. Now, I hope you guys learned something on this video. One recommendation I will make is do not use any sort of PVC if you're not gonna buy this kit. I waited a long time to get this kit, and once it was available, I bought it because I've been there before trying to get everything together in one kit, whether it's copper or black iron or whatever it is that you're using. It can be pretty tough, and well, everything's right here. Now, if you don't plan on actually buying or doing something like this, and you want to go a little bit cheaper, yeah, you can always get at least 50 foot of hose and maybe put it in an ice bucket, and that's going to help really cool down that air off of the compressor. But at the very least, guys, pick up a complete filtration system, something like this. It doesn't need to be this particular one. I'll link a few different ones in the description that work just like this, maybe even a little bit cheaper, but that's going to help take out any of the oils or any water, anything in the airline that might fall into your paint. But The one way you want to make sure you eliminate any contamination is doing kind of something similar to this, or just using those brief techniques or methods that I just talked about. Guys, this is Brian from Paint Society reminding you, don't overthink it. It's just paint. I'll see you guys on the next episode.